Ma'am, could you step aside for a quick credential check?
Of course. Is there an issue with it?
This terminal requires verified clearance.
I understand. My access should be on file.
Give me a moment while I confirm.
No problem.
Thank you for your patience. We're verifying now.
Ma'am, step aside. I need to check your papers for this terminal. Those were the first words Agent Derek Reynolds said to the woman in front of him. She was dressed in a nice suit. She carried a small bag. She looked like any other traveler. "I'm sorry. Is there a problem with my ID?" she asked. "This is a private terminal. VIP access only." "I understand. I have clearance." Reynolds laughed. "Huh. Okay. Sure. I fly through here all the time," she said. "Ma'am, I've worked here for 9 years. I know who uses this terminal. You need to come with me. Now." Agent Reynolds had no idea what he just walked into. In the next 6 hours, his career would be over. 3 federal investigations would start, and a $19.9 million lawsuit would begin. All because he refused to believe a black woman belonged in a private terminal. The woman he put in handcuffs? Her name was Patricia Timmons Goodson. She was 53 years old. She was a sitting state Supreme Court justice. She had been a judge for 27 years. She ruled on over 4,000 cases. She served on the U.S. Commission on Civil Rights. Her documents he called fake. A U.S. passport. Federal judge credentials. A Pentagon security clearance. And the security cameras? They caught everything. Including the moment Reynolds said, "Your papers look fake. People like you don't fly private." Before I continue, let me ask you, have you ever been treated unfairly by someone in power? Drop your answer in the comments. But Agent Reynolds had no idea who he just put in handcuffs. Justice Patricia Timmons Goodson was not just any traveler. She was one of the most respected judges in North Carolina. She made history as the first black woman on the North Carolina Supreme Court. President Obama picked her for the U.S. Commission on Civil Rights. She went to Harvard Law School. She graduated with top honors. Before becoming a judge, she served in the U.S. Army as a lawyer. She reached the rank of lieutenant colonel. She had a Pentagon security clearance. Over 27 years, she ruled on more than 4,000 cases. Many of those cases were about civil rights. Many were about people being treated unfairly because of their race. Now here is what makes this even more interesting. Justice Timmons Goodson had used this exact private terminal 14 times before. Her name was in the system. Her photo was in the federal database. All Reynolds had to do was check. On this Wednesday, she was just trying to fly home. She had been at a judge's meeting in Washington, D.C. She wanted to catch her 4:15 flight to Fayetteville. It should have been a simple trip. But someone decided she did not belong there. Agent Derek Reynolds had a reputation at Charlotte Douglas Airport. And it was not a good one. Reynolds was 47 years old. He had worked at the airport for 9 years. He was the senior agent at the private terminal. He had 4 junior agents working under him. Here is what the public did not know. In the 3 years before this day, Reynolds had 11 formal complaints against him. Every single one involved travelers of color. In 2023, he held a black businessman for 2 hours. The man's crime? His laptop looked suspicious. That man turned out to be an executive at IBM. He filed a complaint. Nothing happened to Reynolds. In 2024, Reynolds accused a Latino family of having fake passports. They were American citizens. Their family had been in the U.S. for 3 generations. He got a warning. That was it. Later in 2024, he questioned a black female pilot. He did not believe she was really a pilot. She had over 15,000 flight hours. The airport started a review. Then they dropped it. His coworkers had a nickname for him. They called him Checkpoint Derek. One of his own fellow agents filed a complaint about his behavior. That complaint was still under review a year later. But management looked the other way. Reynolds never faced real punishment. He had no reason to think this time would be different. He was very, very wrong. Type accountability in the comments if you think 11 complaints should mean getting fired. The date was Wednesday, January 15, 2026. The time was 3:47 inches the afternoon. Charlotte Douglas International Airport was busy but calm. The private terminal was quiet. This area was for government officials, business executives, and other important travelers. It was smaller and more private than the regular terminals. About 8 travelers were in line. 2 other TSA agents were on duty. Their names were Melissa Chen and David Park. The terminal manager, Howard Sinclair, was in his back office. 6 security cameras were recording everything. At 3:47 p.m., Justice Timmins Goodson walked in. She wore a business suit. She carried her conference materials and a small carry-on bag. She walked to the checkpoint. She handed over her credentials. This was the same thing she had done 14 times before. Reynolds took her documents. He looked at them. Then he looked up at her. He stared longer than normal. "Where are you going?" he asked. "Fayetteville, going home? This terminal is for authorized people only." "Yes. I have judicial clearance." Reynolds did not scan her credentials. He did not type anything into his computer. He just kept staring at her like she did not belong. Officer Chen noticed something was wrong. Reynolds was not following the rules. He was not even looking at his screen. If stories like this matter to you, hit that subscribe button. You will want to see what happens next. "I need to check these documents," Reynolds said. "Step aside." "Of course," Justice Timmins Goodson replied. "Is there a problem with the system?" "The problem is these credentials don't look right." She stayed calm. "I'm a sitting state Supreme Court justice. Those are federal judicial credentials." "Anyone can print credentials," Reynolds said. "I need to verify." "There's a number on the back. You can call it." He ignored her. He did not make the call. "Where did you get these documents?" he asked. "Excuse me? The federal government gave them to me." Reynolds shook his head. "These look fake. People like you don't usually fly out of this terminal." The justice paused. "People like me? I'm going to need you to come with me for extra screening. I want to speak with your supervisor." "I am the supervisor here. You're coming with me." Her voice stayed steady. "I'm not going anywhere until you check my credentials the right way." Reynolds stepped closer. "Ma'am, you're being held for document fraud." "Document fraud? I am a Supreme Court justice." "Sure you are. Hands behind your back." Then he put her in handcuffs. Officer Chen spoke up. "Derek, shouldn't we run the check first?" "I know fraud when I see it," Reynolds said. "Call airport police." A businessman nearby watched in shock. "This is wrong. She showed you everything." "Sir, this doesn't concern you. Step back." Reynolds grabbed the justice's arm. He walked her to the detention room. Other travelers pulled out their phones. They started recording. Officer Park quietly wrote down everything that was happening. He noted the time. He noted what Reynolds said. What Reynolds did not know was that Officer Chen had already made a choice. She was calling terminal manager Howard Sinclair. And she was telling him exactly who Reynolds had just handcuffed. Let me know in the comments. What would you do if you saw this happen? 10 minutes later, terminal manager Howard Sinclair rushed into the detention room. His face was serious. He looked at the woman in handcuffs. Then he looked at Reynolds. "Agent Reynolds, do you know who this is?" Reynolds shrugged. "Someone with fake judicial credentials. This is Justice Patricia Timmins Goodson, North Carolina Supreme Court. Take off those handcuffs. Now." Reynolds did not move. Well, she could have stolen someone's identity. Sinclair walked to the computer. He pulled up her file. He turned the screen toward Reynolds. "Her photo is in the federal system, Derek. From her swearing-in ceremony. With the governor. She has used this terminal 14 times. Her Pentagon clearance is active. What more do you need?" Reynolds stared at the screen. His face went pale. "But wait. There is more to this story." Officer Chen stepped forward. "I asked him to verify her credentials. He refused. He said he knew fraud when he saw it." Officer Park held up his notes. "I've been writing down everything since he put her in handcuffs. I have all the times written down." A businessman named Marcus Webb spoke next. He said, "People like you don't fly out of this terminal. I heard it clearly. And I have it on video." A female pilot named Jennifer Morrison stepped forward too. "I've seen this agent do this to other black travelers. I should have said something sooner." Sinclair looked at the growing pile of evidence. 6 cameras, written notes, cell phone video, multiple witnesses. He made a call to the TSA Federal Security Director. Then he called the airport police chief. Within 22 minutes, both were on their way. At 5:15 p.m., FBI Special Agent Terrence Williams arrived too. When federal credentials are involved, the FBI gets called. Justice Timmins Goodson was still in handcuffs. She had been sitting there for almost 2 hours. Reynolds tried to explain himself. "I was just following security rules." Sinclair cut him off. "The rule is to verify first. You never ran her credentials. The system shows no search. You didn't even try." "She was being uncooperative," Reynolds said. Officer Chen shook her head. No, she wasn't. I was standing right there. She answered every question. She offered the verification number. You ignored it. Reynolds kept going. This is being blown out of proportion. No one agreed with him. By now, Reynolds was starting to understand how badly he messed up. He did not just stop a random traveler. He handcuffed a sitting Supreme Court justice, a former military officer, a civil rights expert, a woman who spent 27 years learning exactly how the law could hold people like him responsible. Type justice in the comments if you think Reynolds should have known better. Here is something important to remember. Justice Timmons Goodson had every advantage. She had a title. She had credentials. She had witnesses. Most people who face this kind of treatment do not have any of that. They have no way to fight back. This is why this story matters so much. TSA Federal Security Director Angela Morrison arrived at 4:31 p.m. Airport Police Chief Bernard Coleman came with her. FBI Special Agent Terrence Williams arrived at 5:15 p.m. Justice Timmons Goodson had been in handcuffs for 1 hour and 44 minutes. Director Morrison took control. She reviewed all 6 camera angles. She talked to officers Chen and Park separately. She checked the computer logs. She watched Marcus Webb's cell phone video. Then she looked at Reynolds' employee file. What she found was shocking. 11 complaints in 3 years, all involving travelers of color. Warning after warning. Review after review. And nothing ever happened to him. Reynolds tried to defend himself. His first claim, her documents looked fake. The truth, her documents were standard federal credentials. The airport processed hundreds just like them every month. His second claim, she was being difficult and evasive. The truth, camera footage showed her calmly answering every question. She even offered the verification phone number. His third claim, I followed standard security rules. The truth, computer logs showed he never started the verification process. He broke 4 TSA rules. His fourth claim, I treat everyone equally. The truth, 11 complaints. All involving people of color. A clear pattern of behavior. Director Morrison made her decision. Reynolds was placed on leave without pay. His badge was taken. His credentials were taken. A federal civil rights investigation was opened. Finally, the handcuffs came off Justice Timmons Goodson. She had been in them for 1 hour and 52 minutes. Director Morrison apologized on the spot. She apologized for the TSA. She apologized for Reynolds. She said this should never have happened. Reynolds was walked out of the airport by police. His reaction changed as time went on. First he said, "This is a mistake. I was doing my job." Then he said, "I want my union representative." Finally he said, "You're ruining my career over a misunderstanding." He never apologized to Justice Timmons Goodson directly. Not once. Justice Timmons Goodson missed her 4:15 flight. She was put on the 7:30 flight instead. Terminal manager Sinclair walked her to her gate himself. Officers Chen and Park both wrote official statements supporting her. 4 witnesses gave their contact information. The evidence was overwhelming. If you want to see more stories about justice being served, hit subscribe. We have many more coming. But the consequences for Reynolds were just getting started. Because while all this was happening, Marcus Webb did not just record the video, he posted it online. At 6:15 p.m., Marcus Webb uploaded his video to Twitter. His caption said, "Just watch TSA handcuff a black Supreme Court justice because agent said her credentials looked fake." By 7 p.m., the video had 50,000 views and 12,000 shares. By 8 p.m., local Charlotte news stations picked up the story. By 10 p.m. it was trending #1 in the United States. The hashtag was Justice for Justice. By midnight, the video had 4.2 million views. CNN and MSNBC were running the story. By the next morning, 11 million people had watched. News stations around the world were covering it. The final numbers were huge. On Twitter, 4.2 million views and 890,000 shares. On TikTok, 3.1 million views from people reposting. On Instagram, 2.8 million views. On YouTube, news channels got 6.5 million views in just 48 hours. In total, about 47 million people saw the story in the first 3 days. The comments were angry but supportive. One person wrote, "This is what happens when bias goes unchecked for 9 years." Another wrote, "She's ruled on thousands of cases and he thought she was the fraud." Someone else said, 11 complaints. 11. And they did nothing. And another, "The nerve to say people like you to a Supreme Court justice." Every major news outlet covered the story. Local stations in Charlotte, CNN, MSNBC, ABC News, The Washington Post and New York Times, legal news sites, even BBC and international news. The TSA released a statement at 11 p.m. that night. They said they knew about the incident. They said they started an investigation. They said the officer was on leave. People said it was too little, too late. Reynolds tried to release his own statement through his union. The union refused to help him. He deleted all his social media accounts. 3 days later, Reynolds made a desperate move. He tried to say he was the real victim. He said he was being unfairly attacked for doing his job. That statement would come back to hurt him badly in court. This story was shared millions of times. Share it yourself if you think others should see this. On January 22, 2026, Justice Timmons Goodson filed a federal lawsuit. She sued Derek Reynolds personally. She sued the TSA. She sued the Department of Homeland Security. Her claims were serious. Civil rights violations, racial discrimination, false imprisonment, intentional emotional harm. She asked for $25 million in damages. Now, here is where it gets interesting. During the lawsuit, her lawyers got access to Reynolds' full history. They found all 11 complaints. They found 47 cases where he sent people of color to extra screening over 3 years. They found internal TSA emails. Those emails showed that supervisors knew about the problem. They called Reynolds too aggressive but within bounds. They did nothing. They found the 2024 review that was dropped. That review recommended retraining. It never happened. 3 other travelers came forward. They had been treated the same way by Reynolds. They joined the lawsuit. Want to know how much the TSA paid? I will tell you now. In February 2026, the TSA settled the lawsuit for $19.9 million. Justice Timmons Goodson got $12.5 million. The 3 other travelers split $4.4 million. $3 million went to a civil rights training fund. But what about Reynolds himself? He was fired from the TSA. After 9 years, he got no pension. He was banned from ever working for the federal government again. He had to pay $750,000 out of his own pocket. His wages will be taken for years to pay this off. No criminal charges were filed. The Department of Justice decided not to charge him. Many people were angry about this decision. The TSA faced big changes too. They had to agree to a federal order. They had to redo all their bias training. They had to create new rules for private terminals. A special oversight committee was created to watch them. Congress scheduled a hearing about TSA bias. Reynolds finally released a statement through his lawyer. He said he regretted the incident and any perception of bias. Notice what he did not say. He did not say he was sorry. He did not apologize to Justice Timmons Goodson. He did not admit he did anything wrong. People called it a fake apology. Justice Timmons Goodson held a press conference. She said something important. This isn't about me. I had credentials, cameras, witnesses, and a platform. What about the travelers who don't? She announced she would give $5 million of her settlement to start a civil rights legal clinic. That clinic would help people who face discrimination but cannot afford lawyers. On February 18, 2026, Justice Timmons Goodson stood at the North Carolina Supreme Court. News cameras from across the country were there. The 3 other people from the lawsuit stood beside her. She spoke clearly and calmly. I've been a judge for 27 years. I've seen injustice from the bench. I never expected to feel it in handcuffs. She talked about the moment Reynolds cuffed her. I thought about my grandmother. She couldn't use the same water fountain as white people. I thought about how some things haven't changed enough. She admitted she thought about staying quiet. She did not want to become a news story. But she realized she had to speak. I had every advantage, she said. Federal credentials, security clearance, a title. And it still happened to me. Then she asked the real question. If I can be held for 2 hours for being black in a private terminal, what happens to the single mother at the regular checkpoint? What happens to the teenager traveling alone? She had a message for travelers everywhere. Know your rights. Write everything down. You do not have to accept being treated badly. Your dignity is not optional. It is protected by law. She thanked the people who helped her. Officers Chen and Park for speaking up. Marcus Webb for recording and posting. The other travelers who joined the lawsuit. She ended with powerful words. I didn't want to be a symbol. But if my handcuffs can unlock change, then every minute in that room was worth it. The room was silent for a moment. Then the applause began. This case showed a bigger problem. Studies show black travelers are 3.5 times more likely to face extra screening at airports. Only 4% of TSA complaints end with someone getting fired. Reynolds had 11 complaints over 3 years. Nothing happened until a Supreme Court justice got handcuffed on camera. This case was different because the victim had power. She had cameras. She had witnesses. She had a platform. Most people do not have any of these things. So let me ask you. Should TSA agents wear body cameras like police officers do? Should 11 complaints over 3 years mean you get fired automatically? Should travelers have the right to see complaint records before they fly? Because if we do not fix broken complaint systems, if we do not hold people responsible for protecting bad workers, if we do not demand openness, then we are just waiting. Waiting for the next Derek Reynolds? Waiting for the next Justice Timmons Goodson? Waiting for the next person in handcuffs for being black in the wrong place? Here is the unexpected truth about this case. Reynolds was not unusual. He was just the one who got caught. There are others like him at airports across the country. The only difference is they have not met someone with a title and a platform yet. Comment cameras now if you believe TSA agents should be recorded at all times. Comment accountability if you think 11 complaints should mean automatic firing. If you think stories like this matter, hit that subscribe button. We are going to keep exposing these patterns. We are going to keep demanding better. We are going to keep fighting for dignity, for accountability, for justice that does not require a title. This is not just about one TSA agent in Charlotte. This is not just about one Supreme Court justice in handcuffs. This is about who we are as a country. And the system we are willing to accept. See you in the next one.